Hi, Passionators. Thank you for waiting. Apologies for the delay. I had to relocate, so I had to come inside instead of hanging out with the last remnants of sunshine today. So I'm back inside where it's a little bit quieter. I'm still wearing my groovy headgear though because I don't want you to miss this, and especially since it is later than I usually come and join you. I want to be respectful of your time. But this is, once again, another issue that comes up quite frequently that people ask me about in my email, on the phone, and that I ear hustle when I'm out and about. So if you want to share this one, by all means do so. And if there's anything you want to talk about specifically, let me know in the comment section. Welcome everybody. I see you coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Now then, let's get started, shall we? A big issue, very big issue, is this whole commitment thing. And people staying in relationships for months and years and waiting and wondering, and is it really love? Will it really last? Will they ever commit to me? And the fact is that they already are committed. They're just not committed to you. They're committed to their comfort. They're committed to their flexibility. They're committed to the freedom that they believe they have. They are not committed to you. No matter how many children there are, no matter how long you've been sharing an address and swapping keys, no matter how many car payments you've made for the other one, no matter how many times you've been to the store to pick up whatever the other one needed when they're not committed to you. If they were committed to you, you wouldn't be questioning whether they're committed or not. They would make it obvious. And a huge reason why they haven't committed to you is because you haven't committed to you. You tell yourself things that you don't actually do all the time. And yet you demand that your partner not lie to you. You are perpetually neglectful of what you know you need to maintain your sanity and your peace of mind. And you expect your partner to do it for you. And it's not going to happen. And that's what's frustrating you. You're expecting something from them that you refuse to take responsibility for doing for yourself, and then you get mad when it doesn't happen. It's not happening because you haven't set the precedent for you. You have chosen repeatedly to refuse to behave in your own best interest. And you still want your partner to have your best interests at heart. Because you've thrown yourself on the sword called relationship. You've thrown yourself into the fire that you call love, and then you wonder why you turned into charcoal. Because that's not what love is. That's not what love does. That's not how real relationships actually work. And because of that, not because of the way you value yourself, it's because of the way you have been conditioned to believe love looks like. You believe that's love. You believe the chaos and the toxicity and the, oh my God, where are they? And the, now I got to look through their phone to find out the truth. And wait a minute, let me go on Facebook and rant about what they just did to me and find out if I'm right or not. And you believe that all of that is what love looks like. And that's why you continue to find yourself in the same relationship repeatedly, no matter how many times you change partners. And if you haven't changed partners, then you're repeating this cycle with the partner that you have. Because it's what you do. It's what you do. It's not what your partner does. You haven't changed what you do. You haven't changed the choices that you make. And until you do that, you're going to keep getting what you have been getting. You have convinced yourself that your relationship problems aren't yours. They're your partner's. And you're really quick to roll out the scroll on everything they're doing wrong. And sometimes you're even accurate. That's what makes it worse. They might be cheating. They might be lying. They might be misspending the money. They might be they might be irresponsible. They might be all of the things that you say they are. And by the time you finish making that list, by the time you finish ranting and raving on Facebook, by the time you finish telling your friends about all the reasons why they aren't doing what you wanted them to do, they aren't treating you right, they don't give you what you deserve, you're going right back. And then you wonder why the same people that you complain to look at you funny when they see you again, and that you're still in that situation. Here's what I know for sure. People who want to get out of relationships do it all the time. They know how to get somebody out of their life that they want out of their life. They know how not to be in touch with somebody that they don't want to be in touch with. They know how not to be bothered with somebody that they don't want to be bothered with. They know how to do that. They do it all the time. They ghost. They'll ghost in a minute. Or they will do something really gangster like change the locks, block the number. You look up and you've been blocked out all the social media outlets. Some people relocate. I'm just saying, when somebody really wants to get out, they know how to get out. So this, how do I let go when I love them so much? Just because you love them doesn't mean you're supposed to be with them. Let's clear that up while we're here tonight. Just because you love them does not mean you're supposed to be with them. I know it's radical, but it's real. Love is not, has never been, and never will be sufficient to hold a relationship together. Neither are children. Neither is time served. Neither is sex. Neither is money. Neither is control or manipulation. Neither is any of that. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If you want a teammate and a dream mate instead of a cellmate or hellmate, you have to make different choices and do different things. And they all start with you. They don't start with changing partners. It starts with you. Now, once you do it, you may end up changing partners because your partner may not want to change with you. That's a very real possibility. If they're comfortable with you being the way you are, and you start making choices that change that around in ways that they don't like, they might leave. You have to be willing to allow that to happen. Too many of you are hanging on ridiculously long to situations that you should have let go of a long time ago, because there's always another option. But because you're functioning in fear, because you're functioning in lack, because you're functioning in complacency, because you're having a knee-jerk reflex response to your conditioning, you keep hanging on, trying to make misery comfortable for you, trying to make it right when it's been wrong from the beginning. And it was wrong because your expectations were unreasonable to start with, because you wanted them to be something for you that you weren't even willing to be for yourself. Just saying. Once you commit to behaving in your own best interest, once you decide that all of your relationship choices are going to reflect what's best for you, not what's best for your partner. I'm going to say that again. Not what's best for your partner. What is best for you, because you cannot be in a relationship where honoring your partner dishonors you. Can't do it. No matter how much you want to, no matter how much you're willing to. That is never going to end well for you. There's never going to be a happily ever after for you there. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. That's how side pieces are made. Just as an example, that's how side pieces are made. They hang on believing that. And most of them never end up the spouse. They never end up the wife, the husband. They never end up the main one, because they're willing to be a side piece. They actually make it easier for them to stay in their primary relationships. Having a side piece doesn't make it more difficult. It makes it easier to stay. And if they do leave, it's usually because they got found out, not because they walked away. But that's another video. Back to the subject at hand. They won't commit to you because you don't commit to you. And because you don't commit to you, you don't make choices in your own best interest, because you are too wrapped up in trying to be what you think your partner wants you to be. You are too busy trying to make somebody happy, trying to make them want to be with you, trying to make them love and care about you, trying to make them stay. And you will dishonor and degrade and humiliate and debase and neglect your own self-interest. I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm talking about being self-interested, meaning that you don't willingly put yourself into relationships that drain your soul, that suck the life out of you. And you always know when you're in that kind of a situation, because you usually have to talk yourself into staying. You have to work it up. You hesitate to come home. You're happier to leave than you are to come back. You're afraid to be there. You know that being there is going to be a fight, and you've already been in a fight all day long, and you know that there's nothing waiting on the other side of that door than another fight. There's all kinds of ways the relationship is telling you that you don't need to be there. It's telling you that it's not giving you the love that you came there to get. It's telling you, the relationship is telling you, but you aren't listening. And you keep trying to turn it into something that it isn't, because you believe that there's one more thing you can do, or there's something else magical that you can say, or if you let them smack it up, flip it, and rub it down however they want to, that they won't go anywhere else. Or you think it's your job to keep your mate, and that doesn't happen. Nobody keeps anybody except themselves. That's why when you're in a relationship, your job is to be happy, not to make your mate happy. Your job is to be happy. That's your job. Be happy, and then share that happiness with your partner. And they will do the same with you. But it's got to start somewhere. You're still waiting for them to do it because you think they're wrong. And they might be wrong. But that has nothing to do with anything, because you're the one who has the problem with it. As long as you're the one who has the problem with it, the problem is yours. It's not theirs. It's not theirs. It's yours. And that's why the responsibility is yours to change the dynamic that you are in. That dynamic is yours. You are feeding that dynamic. It could not happen without you being there. You don't have to show up for every fight you're invited to. Well, Eden, they said, well, Eden, they did. And what was I supposed to do? You were supposed to be honest. You weren't supposed to be what you thought they wanted you to be. That's what you weren't supposed to do. You were supposed to be who you knew you were. You were supposed to tell the truth. You were supposed to show up in your authenticity. You were supposed to stop trying to be impressive and be real. You were supposed to stop trying to make them want you and just be who you are and allow them the opportunity to want you if they choose. And if they don't choose, to be willing to walk away. And by the way, that applies if you're married too. Because I'm not the coach that's ever going to be the one to tell you that you should stay in a toxic marriage just because you've been in a toxic marriage. You're not going to hear that from me. There are a lot of other people who will tell you that. And if that's what you really just have to hear, then maybe you should listen to one of them. But you're not going to hear that from me. I'm the coach that's going to tell you life is too short for that. I'm the coach that's going to tell you that that was not the intention when you were put here to open your heart and share your love and give the best of yourself to another person in return for their best for you. When you were put here to create that synergy, that our hearts are built for that. That's why they love the way they do. That's why we have that capacity. That's why. And that has nothing to do with you dishonoring yourself. It all begins with you. It all begins with your dreams, with your wants, with your needs, with your requirements. You get miserable when you start negotiating your requirements. You'll hang on to ridiculous stuff like how tall they have to be, or how much money they have to have, or what they have to look like on the outside all the time, every time they have to wear makeup or they have to be dressed this way. You'll hang on to ridiculous stuff like that, but you'll put up with a cheater. You'll put up with a liar. You'll put up with somebody that you can't depend on. You'll put up with somebody who regularly disregards you. You will put up with somebody who speaks to you any way they feel like speaking to you. somebody who embarrasses you in public and in private, somebody who treats you as if you're an irritation, somebody who tolerates you rather than celebrates you. You will put up with all of that, hanging on to superficial things that you think you require. And then you wonder. You wonder why you're in the situation that you're in. Because you're trying to hang on to your type. Well, I can't change it because, I just can't find anybody who's my type. No, I can't talk to them. They're not my type. I would never talk to her. She is my type. Can I just remind you that it's your thinking about your type that got you into the position that you are in right now? I do believe it was the brilliant Mr. Einstein who said you cannot solve a problem from the same mindset that created it. I'm going to say that again. You cannot solve a problem from the same mindset that created it. Until you are willing to think a new way, believe a new belief, and consequently do something different. I have no magic to offer you, and neither does anybody else. No matter what they tell you, neither does anybody else. Your situation will not change until you do. It won't. Now, the good news is, once you do change, so will your situation. That's the good news. It may feel like the entire rug has come out from under your whole world initially. It can hurt, and it can hurt badly. But you know what? Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that is just what it takes. And you can survive it. I survived it. You can survive it. The same God that made me made you. I don't have anything that you don't have. And you don't have anything I don't have. We can do this when we choose this. I've been there with the whole rug snatched out from under me thing, with my entire life imploding on me, losing everything I owned within a span of 3 years, losing everything I didn't own, my relationship, my husband, my daughter, my mother, my father, have them all disappear within 3 years. My daughter, fortunately, was just at school. But everything else didn't work like that. But that's another video too, and I'm not trying to keep you here all night. But I do want to leave you with this. When you change, everything around you changes too. And sometimes you won't understand it, and many times it'll be really uncomfortable, especially initially. It's going to be uncomfortable because even good changes are clumsy. They're clumsy at first. So embrace the clumsy. You don't know how it's supposed to feel. You don't know how it's supposed to work. You're still trying to figure that out. Submit to the process. Just trust the process. Just know that the process is working for you, not to you. It's working for you. It's working through you. It's working on you. It is not working against you. Just trust the process. Stay in it. Stay in it. Keep making those choices that honor your soul, that feed your serenity, that support your peace of mind. Make those choices. Make the choices that keep you from going to sleep night after night with your tears in your ears, wondering how in the wide world you ended up there. You thought you made all the right choices. You did all the right things. You tried to fulfill everybody's expectations of you. And when that light goes out and you're in the dark by yourself, you are staring at the ceiling when you know you should be asleep because your soul cannot rest. How many tear-stained pillowcases is it going to take? How many days will you have to wander through your life like a zombie that can't even remember how you got from point A to point B or why you even care anymore? It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to stay that way. You can change it anytime you get ready to. And I really pray that you do. Because one thing I know for sure, you'll never be happy otherwise. You will always be frustrated. You will always be angry. You'll always be taking it out on the world. You'll be taking it out on the people closest to you. The people who love you the most will be the ones you mistreat the most. And you will end up alone anyway if you don't change it. Commit to yourself before you require it from someone else. And watch what happens. You can do this. I promise you, you can. You can do this. Please do this. Don't be another one of those people on the other end of a phone call that gets a scary doctor's report before they do this. Please don't. Those are some of my most difficult phone calls. Don't do it for me. Do it for you. Do it for you. Do it because this is your only life. Do it because this isn't a dress rehearsal. Do it because you don't get a do-over. Do it because you've been doing for everybody else around you for as long as you can remember. And now maybe, just maybe it's time for you to do it for you. Maybe it is. I don't get to say that. I can only say that for me. I can't say that for you. But I am going to remind you one more time. If you really want something different, it won't show up in what you say. It won't show up in how mad you get or in how many tantrums you throw. It won't show up in how much liquor you drink, how many cigarettes you smoke, how many other things you smoke, how many drugs you do, how much sex you have, how much shopping you do, how much you eat, how much money you spend. It's not going to show up in any of those places. And none of those things is going to fix it. Can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and expect it to heal. But if you do the work that's necessary, let the healing begin. It starts with you. Make new choices, get new results. If you need ideas about that, let me know. If there's something else that you'd like to talk about, let me know that too. I'll be back in a few more days and I'll be reading your comments. If you'd like to share, I'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to reach people and I don't know everybody. You all know a lot more people than I do, so feel free to share. And thank you for coming in so late. Sorry about the delay. and the technical difficulties and all that good stuff. And thank you for sharing your time with me, for sharing part of your evening with me. I really appreciate that. And for now, rest well, passionators. For tomorrow we rise to love. One more time. I love you totally. Good night.